Welcome back to Let's Play The Legend of Zelda, The Wind Waker HD. Last time we got shot out of not a cannon, catapult? That's the right wording. I got put into a barrel, shot out of a catapult, and this time, we'll be moving on to try to find our sister, Errol. So let's go. But first and foremost, these searchlights, well, they do actually have gameplay importance. Ooh, who would have guessed? You want to sneak by these, and what a better way to sneak by them than by putting us back in a barrel. Ooh, don't mind me, I'm just sweating a little bit because of the trauma that's coming back to me. But whenever a searchlight comes near you, you want to stop, drop, don't roll, just stop, and wait for the searchlight to pass. I really don't know if a searchlight will actually stop and be like, "Ooh, this barrel's moving, it's a little creepy," because that's something that I have to worry about a little bit later, and I'll talk about that when I get to it. But stealth in this game is a little weird. Speaking of stealth, yeah, that's right, The Legend of Zelda, The Wind Waker HD has quite a lot of stealth sections. Well, a decent amount. More than any other Zelda game up till this point. And that's really weird. I really don't know how to feel about that, because I don't love stealth in this game, but it's definitely not bad. Also, that box right there, got a story about that box, but not now. Anyway, moving on and going inside. Stealth in Wind Waker is just alright. I don't think it's bad by any means, but it's definitely not the best out of any Zelda game. It's not the best out of any game in general either. But it's definitely here, and I think they use it well in certain areas. But for now, it's just alright. This is kind of a big tutorial about it, and this gives a general kind of a bad feeling about stealth in the beginning, and I'll talk about why in a minute, but let's go about, have fun, keep this happy attitude before I start getting into some of the more negative things that I feel about the Forsaken Fortress. These guys right here are moblins. If you're moving around in a barrel, they will notice that the barrel is moving, which is why I'm kind of skeptical on the searchlights. I don't know if they actually pick up on the fact that you're moving or not, but I know for a fact that the moblins do. As soon as they hear you or see you moving, a very loud noise will play, and then they will stop and sniff you and start looking around, and that'll just make things take even longer. And learning this for the first time through, it can make things take a little while, and that can be a little bit frustrating. These guys are Keese. They're Keese. They don't want to move at all. They really aren't that bad. Right now they're annoying because we have nothing to deal with them with, but they are by far not the most annoying enemy in this area. I know, crazy. Keese not being the most annoying enemy in a Zelda game? It's unheard of. But that rat that you just saw running up the wall, that is the most annoying enemy, I guarantee you. See how he just hit me and stole all of my money and made it all fall out? Well, they will do that even when you're in barrels. Barrels don't actually trick them at all. Barrels just make it easier for them to attack you and steal your money and knock you out of a barrel right in front of a moblin, so the moblins see you. Thank you for 10 bucks. Nice. Also, there's a big moblin statue right over here. The moblin statue, when you get close enough to it, will shoot lasers out of its eyes. Let me see if I can get it to do it again. Yep, there we go. Beautiful. That doesn't do too much damage. It's not as scary as it may seem, but it makes you stay on your toes in this room. That's not too bad, though. Anyway, moving on, climbing on these bunk beds, and jumping off them, apparently. Back to where I was. There's a reason we were given a rope tutorial last episode, because right over there's a rope. I'm not going to go on it, but it's fine, it's fine. You know how to use ropes by this point, hopefully. The tutorial was hopefully enough information to show you that. And, as you can see, Tetra wants to talk. Listen up, Link. There's a monster running the searchlight up there. If you slay that monster, then maybe it'll shut down the searchlight. Oh, but you're unarmed, aren't you? All that you have is a shield. If I were you, I'd use my shield to deflect the monster's blows to see if it would make it drop its weapon. If you did that, you could pick up the weapon with A. But that's just me. What'll you do? Well, that is something you can do. You can hold out your shield and wait for an enemy to knock out the weapon out of its hand. But there's also a weapon laying up here, and before we get into all of that, I want to talk about something that Wind Waker introduced. Breath of the Wild kind of takes this to the logical extreme, and the thing it takes to the logical extreme is holding weapons that aren't just your normal sword. There were other weapons that enemies were holding in different Zelda games, but you never got to use them, ever. You just got to watch the other enemies use them. You never got to pick them up and swing them for yourself, but in this game, you can. I'm also doing incredibly poorly. You remember that time I said that Zelda combat was easy? Let's forget that this ever happened, because this really isn't that hard. I'm just pressing A very, very slowly and doing this very, very poorly. But yeah, that's it. You can pick up a weapon, you can pull up your shield to make him knock down his weapon, and then you can pick his weapon up so he won't have a chance to attack you. That's also a valid strategy, but I just kind of like grabbing the pots with weapons around them. Because, fun fact, we're going to have to get more than one of those searchlights shut down. So, essentially, we're going to have to do this multiple times, and every single area that we have to do that in has a different, or has pots, rather, with weapons in them that you can use. So it's really not needed to pull up your shield. Also, that's a dungeon map. Very cool. Talking about the searchlights, if you were caught by them, you would actually get thrown into jail. This is the jail area right here. And I think that's really cool. I think it's a really, really cool idea. Instead of just, like, making you respawn at the start of the area, you actually do get thrown into jail. And I can see how that might get a little bit annoying to some, but it's not really that bad. The way you get out of that is by knocking a pot down, climbing onto a shelf, and then you see that hole right over there to the right? Yeah, you're going to have to crawl through that, and you'll pop out right there. It's really not all that crazy, so, I don't know, it's a cool concept. Now, there's something else in this room, not this room specifically, but kind of in this general vicinity, I guess. Down this hall again, and right off this ledge, is something very cool. Another cell. But what could be in this other cell? Well, it's a chest, as you might be able to see. The way we get into that chest is, well, I guess I'm not wrong, but the way we get into that cell specifically is by pressing on this switch, which is hidden by the barrels. That'll open up the door, and we get our first piece of heart. That's right, collect 4 of them and you have a new heart container. I'm really excited about collecting a bunch of piece of hearts. I don't know, piece of hearts just feels so good to get, so rewarding, so fun. That is a moblin. And now that we're in this area, I kind of do want to bring up one of the things that I think is a little bit bad about the Forsaken Fortress. I've talked about how the sneaking around can be a little bit slow and a little bit tedious, and how I don't think stealth is necessarily Wind Waker's strongest suit. And while that's still how I believe, I don't think that's a really big deal, and I feel like it can easily just be ignored. It's a little bit of an annoyance, but it's nothing bad. But I feel like with the Forsaken Fortress, it does get more than just annoying. It gets a little bit frustrating. Because while you do have a map, oh, fun fact, you have a map on the gamepad screen. I will end up showing that off later in the first dungeon. This doesn't technically count as the first dungeon, so I didn't want to show it off here. But, oh, by the way, here's a moblin sniffing around, trying to find us, shoving his snout straight through the barrel. Doesn't even notice us. That's fine. But more importantly, as I was saying, stealth is already a little bit annoying. Not frustrating, but annoying. And with the room structure of the Forsaken Fortress, I can confidently say it gets frustrating. Because a lot of the areas in the Forsaken Fortress are just reused. So you are going to end up walking around and seeing the same rooms even if you haven't technically been in those rooms before. These things are really annoying. I have no way to deal with them right now, but they will chase after you. They make the most annoying noise in the world, and they always come in multiples. And you just saw, first of all, that guy was spazzing and clipping through the floor, but they can actually climb on ceilings and walls. They will chase you to the ends of the earth. They are creepy, and they are annoying all at once. That's the compass. Oh yeah, that just shows us where treasure chests are on the map. For anyone who hasn't played a Zelda game before, that sucks. Anyway, going back to what I was saying. Again, stealth starts off as a little bit of an annoyance, and it becomes, in this area specifically, more than that, because you're slowly moving through areas that are different but feel like they're the same, because visually they are the same. And this is something which isn't a super big deal, I don't think, because there's not like a whole lot of rooms in the Forsaken Fortress that are the same, but there's enough of them to the point where I think it's noticeable, and it gets more than a bit annoying. It gets quite annoying, a little bit frustrating. But nothing I can't power through, nothing I can't just ignore. This is one of the longer tutorials, so that's why I guess I have a little bit stronger feelings about some of the weird stuff. Anyway, up here is our next searchlight that we're gonna take down. One more bokoblin. What? Not one more. I think I'm gonna take down one more after this. You don't actually have to get every single searchlight in this area, and I don't think I will be doing that. It's just kind of a waste of time. So I don't think I will be doing that. But I do kind of want to take him down. If you throw that at the proper distance, which I didn't, you will actually be able to take out the hit the moblin rather and make him drop his weapon by hitting him with the pot. You can swing this sword a lot faster. Don't know why I'm not doing it. There we go. That's so much more effective than slowly swinging it and giving him a chance to attack afterwards. I don't know what I was doing, but okay. There's an area I can't reach to my right over there, but that's fine. That's just going to be a shortcut for later. Speaking of shortcuts, remember that box from earlier? That's also a shortcut, but there's a reason that I find it to be a little bit special. I still really can't wait to get to that. It's a very interesting story, and I find it to be really, really funny, so I'm pretty excited about that. Speaking of being excited about it, it's right here. Who would have guessed? Right over here. This box. Also, the Forsaken Fortress plays cutscenes whenever you walk outside to show where you are relative to certain things, which I feel is kind of, it's alright. It is a tutorial type dungeon, maybe a mini dungeon at best, so it does make sense. I understand it, and I'm not gonna rag the game for trying to help people who haven't played a Zelda game before have a better ease of understanding. Anyway, this box right here. This seems like it could do no harm, right? Because all it does is make this area that we just got to accessible from the lower floors. Well, I'm going to play a clip for you right now. I was playing this on hero mode just for fun and a little bit in preparation for the series. And I was obviously going fast because I've played this game a few times before. So in the end, I ended up trying to push the box, but I ended up just rolling and smacking my head against the box and breaking it. That was really weird. Never happened to me before until that playthrough. Kind of fun. Aha, I've got you, Link. I've got it, Link. I've got you. Got you now. Anyway. In order to reach the top of the tower where your sister's being held, you'll have to find the room right below that tower. You gotta take the door to the outside and then climb up from there. You got that? Yeah, thanks, Tetra. Again, I'm not gonna rag on it too much, but that's a little bit overkill, I think. It leaves a lot of the puzzles. It just takes them away. You can't just. What am I trying to say? It doesn't leave anything up to the imagination. That's what I was trying to say. It's a pretty blatant way of saying, hey, this is how you solve the puzzle. People rag on Skyward Sword for that a lot, but no, it's present in other games as well. Just not as present. It's not as prevalent. So if I took a left and went over to, again, my left, and didn't go through this door that I'm pretty much right in front of, I would actually be able to take out another spotlight. But I've taken out enough of the spotlights to the point where I don't need to worry about taking out the rest of them. I'll tell you why. There's only one spotlight left. There are only 3. And one of them, or 2 of them rather, are facing the ground. One of them is very much in your way, so you can go and take that out, and it'll make walking across the base floor a little bit easier. You know, the big open area that's right next to the water. That'll make walking across a bit easier, and if you take out the second one, it'll make walking across that area completely free. But there's also only one spotlight you really, really need to get rid of. Or is that 2? I think... No, I think... hold on. I think there's only one spotlight you really need to get rid of. And I was just trying to make sure because it looked wrong. But no, that's correct. And that spotlight is a spotlight that's shining on this wall up here near the window. Right up here, a spotlight would be shining on this wall, and it would go over these areas where you can... Oh, yeah, by the way, you can sidle in this game. It just makes you go up to a ledge so you can easily cross these very small, narrow platforms. But there would be searchlights going across these narrow platforms, and you would be incapable of avoiding them because your sidling speed is so slow. Now, if you take out that light, which is shining its light onto the wall, I think it's 2. I think you have to take out 2 of them. The point is, if you take out the amount of lights you need to take out that are shining onto the wall, then you can leave the last one. You don't need to take it out. The last one's a diversion. It's just a waste of time. So you don't need to go take that out. Also, if you were thinking about just like hanging onto the ledge and shimmying across that way, that's not going to work. The geometry's a little bit weird on these platforms, and you can only sidle on them. There's no shimmying across for you. Let's fight, but before that, baby's back in our pocket. Take care not to drop it again. I'll do my best. But anyway, now we can fight without a care in the world. No more having to pick up enemy weapons, even though we could pick up that weapon he just dropped. But why should we when we can just stab him to death with our good old sword? Glad to have you back, buddy. I like how the rupee there just like popped in. You could see a little green dot, and then it just, because it was small, and then it grew bigger. It's a little interesting fact.